Alright, how's it going everybody? My name is Infamous Isaac and I'm here with a video on a rather honestly surprising show that I didn't think I would ever watch, at least like for the foreseeable future, but a friend of mine's recommended it to me. So I was like, alright, sure. I mean, if you recommend it to me, Breaking Bad, then I'll give it another shot for sure. And that show was Bojack Horseman, or is Bojack Horseman. And I'm gonna be talking about season one and all that, and I'll just give a little preamble, some context as to how I got here. And basically, like I said, a friend of mine's recommended it to me. He told me like it's one of the best shows like on Netflix for sure, because it just has a surprising level of depth, which I'm not gonna get into in the spoiler section. I'll just get into or in the spoiler free section, excuse me. I'll just get into it later. But it, man, it does have some level of depth for sure. Well, not some, a lot of depth. But it's also an adult animation show, so you both just get like, oh, ha ha ha. It's this adult jokes that brings up an actor or goes to a cutaway gag like Family Guy or stuff like that. But I don't want to be reductive while saying that as well because BoJack Horseman definitely has some funny jokes for sure. Like at least season one has some jokes for me that were just like, bro, this is funny. These jokes did audibly get me to laugh. It wasn't like the interview where it was so unbelievably dumb that I was just laughing at how weird it was. This show, like, it did get me to laugh. And I haven't watched an adult show, at least like purposefully, and laughed at the jokes in a long time. Like I watch Family Guy, American Dad, all those shows like that. Not like to finish them, but just I've seen them on TV and maybe I've given them a shot. And I haven't laughed at those shows like this where I have with BoJack Horseman. Where it's like, oh shoot, this is funny. Like sometimes this can be really funny, but other times it can be awkward. I'm not gonna go lie, it can be awkward. But for coming out in 2014, I feel like it's a fire show, even though it's not that long ago. It's 10 years, almost 10 years ago, but at the same time, it's not that long ago since I was alive during it. But overall, with the spoiler free section, season one was fun. It was really fun. I enjoyed watching the episodes. One thing that I really loved was that the fact that it does have a coherent story in terms of the season, where episode one and episode 12 are completely different. It shows the progression through the season and how the characters change. And there's 6 seasons of the show. So how are they gonna keep going for 6 seasons? I don't know. I genuinely do not know, but it's so cool to think about because season one felt like there was so much in there, and it was just, excuse me, with the characters that were already there, or at least some that got introduced really early on, and some that were like halfway through. But at the end of the day, like, there's so much content that's going to be coming from this show. I wonder how it's going to go. I genuinely wonder how BoJack Horseman, like seasons 2 through 6, are just going to be. Because season one, it has its jokes, but at the same time, it has that again, that level of depth of just to a surprising degree. Honestly, like when he told me that, oh yeah, it can get kind of deep sometimes. Like the writing can be really crazy. I didn't expect it to go this crazy season one. I thought it was just gonna be like Cleveland, the Cleveland show, or like Family Guy, where a normal episode would just be some cutaway gags and some laugh tracks, stuff, or not laugh tracks, excuse me, some just bits, gags, A plot, B plot, and while that's there because that's just the foundation for a family or an adult animation show, it's there. There is substance for sure. I don't want to say that like Seth MacFarlane shows don't have some substance sometimes, like I can't speak for the entirety of Family Guy or Cleveland Show. I cannot. I haven't watched all of it. So I can't say with full reason or belief that those shows have no substance. I physically cannot because I don't have the evidence to say that. It's just some of the examples I've seen. It just seems like a normal adult animation show that you put on like on a Wednesday or something. It's just chill. But regardless, that's a different show. Let me get into the spoiler section. Well, actually, the rating. The rating, yeah, the rating. I'm all out of sorts. So I'm gonna give this season an 8. It was funny. The story was good. I was invested. I felt like I was genuinely invested in what the story was telling, whether I was rooting for the main characters or rooting against them. I genuinely felt engaged with the show, and there was no indifference. I didn't care what happened. Some episodes I didn't like that much, but some episodes I really did like the last episode or season, excuse me, episode 12, the second half of episode 11, and just some really funny jokes. Like if I had Netflix open right now on my phone, I would just go through and look at all the episodes I liked. But there was some good episodes for sure. Not all of them were great. Some of the early ones were all right. I liked the first episode for sure. That episode was pretty cool because it was just an introduction. But some episodes were some episodes were ooh, it was pretty good. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for sure. Animation's all right. It's adult animation. You're not gonna get anything like Demon Slayer or something like that. The music, I like the music. I like the outro. I like the intro and outro because the intro is, electronic music, and then the outro is literally, I used to have a show in the 90s. And it gets me giggling so bad because that outro, like, it's sad, but at the same time, it's so funny because BoJack Horseman is, man, I can't get into it until I get into the spoiler section. So yeah, 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10. But yeah, let me get into the spoiler section. If you don't want to see spoilers for the show, it is almost 10 years old. It ended 2020, so it's not too late to pick it up and just give it a watch. I think um, when my friend told me that BoJack Horseman is the most replayed show on Netflix. Netflix, or one of the most replayed shows. It's so it has the pedigree for sure. It has the pedigree, so that's cool. But yeah, let me get into the spoiler section. So BoJack Horseman is just basically this horse who was a pop or a star in the 80s, not a pop star. He was a TV show um, actor. He used to be on Horsing Around, and think of it like Full House or those family shows in the 80s and 90s that were sitcoms but had life lessons in them. And it was just basically that was what Horsing Around was. And he's like now in his 50s, 40s, 50s, around there. And he's basically washed up. He's a washed up actor. He does a bunch of drugs. He drinks a lot. But the thing about BoJack Horseman is learning about his past, right? So we basically go into his life where he's writing a book. He's writing a book for a publishing company that's going on the fritz. Like they need a book from BoJack because they're losing money betting on him completely, and he's just such a, what's the word? I guess loser. He's a lazy loser from what it is. Like he hasn't won in life in a long time. And he's just there. He's trying to write the book, but he's a procrastinator and he's just not getting anywhere with it. So the publishing company gets this act or not actors, publisher or not publisher, writer, ghostwriter named Deanne Noonan, and BoJack hosts a party because his friend Todd, who's his roommate, who by the way is voiced by Aaron Paul, Jesse from Breaking Bad. So I was like, yo, what? That's so cool. That's generally so cool. But they meet through this party that he hosts, and they start kicking it off, and they start writing the book, and now she's become a main character basically, or a side character, but with importance to the story. And she's gonna show up a lot for this season for sure. Almost as much as, well, actually more than Todd and other characters like Mr. Peanut Butter, who's Diane, yeah, Diane, is Diane's boyfriend. You have, well, actually, yeah, Mr. Peanut Butter. Let me go into him. So Mr. Peanut Butter, he's actually one of my favorite characters because he's so like unabashedly bad, but he's so good. Like he's such a good guy, but he's not at the same time. He feigns like he cares, but in reality he doesn't. Like he's the other side to BoJack Horseman, where BoJack nobody likes him. Mr. Peanut Butter is liked by all, but BoJack doesn't like Mr. Peanut Butter because he copied him and stuff like that. But in reality, Mr. Peanut Butter is kind of a dark guy sometimes. Like it's crazy. But Mr. Peanut Butter, he had a show as well where it was like he was also a dad in a 90s sitcom or whatever, and BoJack and or hates him because he copied his whole idea, right? Or at the very least, the idea that him and his friend Herb Kazaz worked on, which was the guy who gave him the big break, and they got really popular, and that's why Horsing Around exists because of Herb Kazaz and because of BoJack Horseman being the main lead. So, besides the point, there's Caroline or Princess Caroline, who's BoJack's agent. She's a recurring character, and just yeah, I think those are mainly the most important characters that you'll see often. But after that, BoJack is just writing his book with Deanne, and you see a bunch of, excuse me, a bunch of hijinks and stuff like that. We meet one of the actors from Horsing Around who grew up, and she became like a Britney Spears type, where the fame got to her and it just kind of ruined her life and stuff like that. But she's actually voiced by Mabel from Gravity Falls, so that's really cool. I think that's super cool. But yeah, we just see a bunch of characters come in and out. There's a plot line where Bojack gets caught having sex with the actor that he was a father of in a show, which again, really weird and really icky because even Todd himself mentions like, "Oh, this is weird and disgusting, bro. What is wrong with you?" But the blackmailers can't really do anything because Bojack never picks up his phone, so he can't really be blackmailed. They also have well, what was it? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So Todd also had a plot where he was making a rock opera, but people were really liking it, and he wanted Bojack to give input. So Bojack finally concedes because he hates Todd. He's a freeloader who lives with him for 5 years, and hasn't gotten a job or anything like that. But Todd has points where it's like, yo, I've been running away from the mafia for years. You never helped me out. You like literally I'm just trying to get help, bro. And Bojack, to be fair, doesn't need to because this is his house at the end of the day. But you guys have lived together for so long, like why not, right? That's always the thing that gets me. Like, if you haven't kicked him out and you enjoy his company, even if you never admit it, why would you not kick him out, right? It just makes no sense. Or excuse me, help him out. But there's a bunch of plots like that. There's a plot where Bojack goes to Herb Kazaz, the guy who helped him out in his early years of acting, and Herb is dying of cancer. And this is actually a plot line that was established way early in season one, like one of the first episodes, I think. And we see it like episode 10 or 9 or something like that. And it was a really interesting episode because I've never seen a show do that before, where Herb sees Bojack and Bojack apologizes like, "Yo, I'm sorry, man. I screwed you over, and I was messed up of me." And Herb rejects his apology, and that was just so shocking to me. Like he rejected his apology, and like it's not even like a courtesy as a human being thing. I just he's that angry at Bojack, that bitter at him that he screwed him over, that he will not accept his apology, not even as a courtesy, because he wants them to live with that regret, knowing that a man who has cancer is dying and will never forgive you. And that's so, like, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about because Bojack did ruin what's his face's career because Herb is a homosexual. So back in the 80s, people were not like that. They weren't with it. And the fact that he felt that much spite towards Bojack, even in his dying days. He's not dead yet. At least, yeah, in season one, he's not dead yet because he showed up in the ending credits. But to think that he had that much spite towards Bojack Horseman, someone that he did fondly care for in his early years, it's wild. I never saw that before. Like this is honestly like the most realistic view on people I've seen ever. I've never seen people be this realistic before, but too realistic sometimes because I didn't even realize like people could do that, and that sounds so stupid. Just coming from a person like me, well, not like me, but coming from a person, but at the same time, it's also like I've never seen that before. I have genuinely never seen someone reject someone's apology because they were spiteful of that person, like genuine hate, and that was so interesting to me. BoJack Horseman, even season one, right? Even in season one, I've heard that it gets crazier and crazier in the other seasons, but in season one, this show is showing a level of development and growth, or also just introspection and analysis of the characters. Like the people who are writing this show know who these characters are, even though like there's no established background and stuff like that. It's just you've written a story, you have these characters. It's a world where humans and animals are on equal footing, where Bojack is a literal horse. He's a walking horse, and they use that anatomy from the horse to explain things. Like Bojack Horseman literally drinks so much, gets into drunken stupors for weeks on end because of the fact that he's a horse. And horses are huge. They're literally huge. They can take so much more than a normal human would. So if you give a horse human anatomy, then of course it would have that horse anatomy as well, but in a human like proportion. It's just crazy to think about that. Like, it's cool in a sense, but it's also like you know these characters well. You've written, or excuse me, written these characters down to a T. They know exactly what they would do, how they would do it, and they would not conform to cliches. Or at the very least, in terms of the writing, the jokes they will. I ain't gonna lie, they will. But The characters, man, it's honestly surprising how deep some of these characters can get with what they say. It feels like whoever, like the people that are writing this, have really gone through some stuff, bro. I don't know what happened, but this is some crazy, like, goodness. Some of the quotes that they drop in this show are nutty. I don't remember some of them, but man, some of the quotes that Bojack himself drops, like, oh my gosh, man, they're insane, and it's just I can't wait to see more. I genuinely cannot wait to see more from this show. I It has me so excited and so engaged to see what's going on. Like, I feel like I'm watching Breaking Bad all over again, but not in the sense of like, oh shoot, this is a really dark, gritty crime drama or anything like that. No, this is just an adult animation that has some comedy elements to it, but at the end of the day, they're trying to tell a story. And I thought about this to myself like the past couple of days because I've been watching it these past couple of days, that Walter White and BoJack Horseman have similarities, and I don't want like I know it sounds stupid, right? I know it sounds dumb. Like how do they have similarities? But it's literally in the sense of like you see the change. BoJack, we didn't get to see it, but what we did, we saw him the gradual change from Walt to Heisenberg, where he just became evil. But it's not like he wasn't like that. Walt had something inside him like that. He was prideful. He was really prideful. And Bojack wants to believe that he's a good person, but he's not. Because he's at the end of that stage where he doesn't have a timer on him where he's dying from cancer or something. He's not. So he has to live with these bad decisions and no repercussions, right? Or at the very least, no like repercussions for the law. He's suffering repercussions from people, and it's just like, man, these two are bad people that have pushed away their people because of how they are as people, and they try to be good people to the people that they care about. But at the end of the day, they're the main character. But that doesn't mean that they're not good or that they are good people because they're the main character. A lot of times in a story, the main character is associated with a good guy, but seeing shows like this where the main character isn't a good person whatsoever, but not like they're a villain, it's just they're literally not, like, by definition of like human standard and what people consider to be a good person, this person is not good. They are bad people, not villains, but bad people, and they're the main character. And it's just like it's such an interesting view on it because they're not villainized by the writers, they're villainized by the people they interact with, and that's so cool to me. It's so interesting. So it's the nuance in that. I really like that. So I can't wait to see more from BoJack Horseman. But yeah, it's gonna be it for me for now. Thank y'all for watching. Hope y'all enjoy. Gonna be another long running series on the channel. Well, not long running, more like it's gonna be 6 videos, but it's it's another show that I'm watching that's a long running show. So it's gonna take a while, just like Breaking Bad. Oh, actually, like Better Call Saul too. Yeah, that's crazy. There's another one coming. But thank you all for watching. Hope y'all enjoy. And I'll see you all in the next video. Until next time, this has been Infamous Isaac. Hope you have a great rest of your night. Peace.